Hello, I'm Dylan.
I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast with beekeepers, because this week we watched Timelash,
By Glenn McCoy.
directed by Pennant Roberts.
And aired in March of 1985.
Yeah, Pennant Roberts, that's a name I haven't heard for a while.
Yeah, Glenn McCoy. Obviously a pseudonym for Sylvester McCoy.
I really thought you were going to say Eric Saywood there. Wow,
No, he
doesn't
just
write
wrote
another
this.
doesn't write another story for the show.
He wrote its novelization.
Wow, wow, that's
something.
That's impressive. I feel like most writers on the show write novelizations of their own
Yeah.
serials, though.
Well, yeah, probably.
Which is why two of them, I think, weren't novelized. I think
or just Terrence Dicks writes them.
also true. Also true. But when you're Terrence Dicks, what else are you going to do besides write? And he seems to have written so many things for so many different shows. Yeah, well, whatever. We actually start with the Doctor and Perry in the TARDIS for once.
Yeah, bickering, not for once, for like the millionth time.
Yeah, the Doctor really dials up the hating everyone in this serial.
Yeah. Thanks, McCoy. Thanks, Glenn.
So they're arguing.
It is kind of weird that, I guess he is slowly moving towards being more likable, but it's kind of weird that, like, the various writers do it to various degrees, so it's kind of, like, not a steady incline.
It's more like a really rocky slope, like going over these bumps. No, well, the Doctor threatens to take Perry back to Earth, and if I was Perry, I'd be like, yep, just take me back to Earth, please. And, yeah, honestly, I'm pretty sure she regrets not going back to Earth for, like, this whole serial, given, what happens to her.
Yeah.
Then they run into a time corridor, like they seem to do every other week on this show.
Yeah. Time corridor that looks vaguely like the intro sequence, almost, kind of.
Kind of. Looks
like
a lot
rainbow
more techno
tunnel thing, yeah.
And this one's also apparently a lot stranger than that Dalek one, because the Doctor's like, we can navigate this time corridor, and Perry's like, what's the difference? The Doctor's like, don't worry about it.
Plot convenience. Meanwhile, on whatever the planet was called, the Malin is being kind of a jerk, because we get some masterfully written exposition dialogue that lets us know that they're about to go to war with the worm people.
The worm people? Yeah, the worm people, the Bandrils.
Yeah, the Bandrils.
Who looked kind of like the Mara to me, but...
Yeah. It just reminded me of that poem by, I guess it was Lewis Carroll, the one with the Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
I was like, it wasn't Bandril one of the words from that poem, but I guess it wasn't. Well, it was Bandersnatch and something else that ended with a, I don't know.
With an ill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the poem, so I can't help you there, unfortunately. But
yeah, it's I don't know.
The Borad.
Yeah, the Borad.
Like, the Bandrils want to make a treaty.
It's true.
Yeah, while I was watching this too, I was like, wait a minute, a lot of this is just stolen from Caves of Androzani.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. But, the thing was, he actually... he was a weaker character than Shiraz, but he was also like
power.
An uglier character with more power.
Yeah, he looked more like a horse than a Morlock.
Yeah, he actually kind of looked like a sea devil almost. Although I don't know. I wrote he doesn't actually look that scary like front from the front, but in profile I was actually like, okay, he looks kind of scary.
Yeah,
But we'll get to him.
Well, every time they mention Morlock, I just thought of Murlocs
same.
from World of Warcraft. So that made the serial a lot more interesting.
I mean, he was webbed, so yeah.
He honestly looked like a cross between a horse and a human, though. To be honest,
Yeah, he didn't look anything like the Murloc from the Morlock from the cave. But hey, whatever.
So
there's like this second in command dude vying for political power. He wants to be the Malin, and you can tell he's going to be the one of the main well, maybe not. Maybe you can't tell, but
there's also some rebels who get killed.
Yeah, he's a pretty big jerk from early on. Yeah, there's some rebels who get killed.
Well, they get chucked into the Timelash, actually.
Yeah, they actually don't get killed. They get chucked into the Timelash, which is a cool-looking portal to wherever, except it actually doesn't look as cool when you don't see it from front on.
Which does kill them, I guess, because
well,
they consistently mention that they get killed when they get chucked in the Timelash.
Well, I mean, what's-her-face got pushed into the Timelash and she just wound up on Earth.
Well, I think she survived because she hit the TARDIS while she was traveling through the Timelash. I think everybody else, I think they indicate that they suffocate in the Timelash because you can't breathe in the Timelash.
I mean, what I thought it was is that they would just get teleported somewhere random, and then they would just be like, well, they're probably going to die wherever they get teleported, so
well, I think the
dead.
Timelash was the time corridor that the Doctor hits. So it's like you have to travel through the corridor to get to the other place, and I think most people don't survive the journey. That's why they die.
They don't survive that. I mean, they don't survive that fall off that sheer crystal cliff or whatever it was.
Hey, that set was pretty neat.
I mean, I guess.
Okay, we're not there yet.
It was all right.
So they kill some rebels and then shoot the figurehead of power.
The Borad?
No, not the Borad, the other guy.
Oh, the Malin.
The Malin, goes to this super secret
underground lair.
Communication
Moon
room.
base.
And one of the rebels busts in. Malin's like, we can't be observed here. And I thought they were going to do this cool, surveillance plot, but they just throw it away, immediately, so it doesn't really matter.
I mean, kind of, because he was using what's-his-face as, it was a robot the entire time.
Yeah.
So, sort of. But then he just fires his beam that turns you into a giant marionette. So kind of like the Master, except not mini.
Yeah, and except that beam actually ages you and doesn't turn you into a puppet
I
directly.
mean, just
turning
behind
you
the
into
scenes,
a puppet,
it turns you into a
yeah,
puppet.
it would have been a cooler concept if that just turned you into a puppet than being some sort of aging beam.
Since it's like a puppet government and he's using an actual puppet, like android puppet. Oh, so that android guy with the really bright blonde hair.
And the blue face?
Yeah. Questionable choice of makeup there, but anyway, we've had a string of villains who have needed to reconsider their haircuts, but this guy totally doesn't. This guy's pretty spot on, so good job, Android.
Yeah, well, what he does need to reconsider is his voice, because it's
it's like, imagine just Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks, but coming out of this really buff dude.
And then run through the Cyberman filter.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. He also had multiple androids that were identical, I guess.
Yeah, they burned an entire android for this. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know how they achieved that effect. Probably didn't burn an entire prop for it.
Probably burned a puppet.
Yeah.
So now the Doctor and Perry are messing around in the TARDIS. Wow, that sounds really not what I meant it to.
Yeah, especially with... Okay, never mind.
Well, so, yeah, well, they kind of strap in, I guess. They put on these belts and hook into the TARDIS console.
They jack in.
They jack into the TARDIS. And
Chameleon did it.
We never needed these, hooks before. And the Doctor's like, yeah, well, we've never tried to navigate a time corridor before, which is provably false. So
yeah, they do it every other week.
I don't know what the Doctor's talking about.
So a lot of the dialogue here I felt was supposed to be like funny and witty banter, but it just kind of wasn't funny at all. So I kind of didn't like it. But hey.
Yeah, thanks, McCoy. Anyway, they navigate this time corridor. Yeah, they hit the lady, whatever her name was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
She was like a really important part of the plot too.
Lady who conveniently fits right in the Victorian era, and that's where she goes. So, oh right, Tecker was the evil dude.
Yeah, the evil guy, and
Mick Ross was like her lover,
who was the second in command.
Vina.
Anyway, yeah. So
Vina. Whose father Renus has been killed.
Yes.
By the what's his name?
The Timelash. Or by Tekka.
By the
android.
No.
The beekeeper.
No. The guy who's pulling the strings, whose name I'm now
forgetting. The Borad.
Yeah, the Borad.
Oh.
The boring.
I was trying to make a pun like that, but I feel like you couldn't fit it.
When the Doctor and Perry show up, Perry's like, "It's so boring here," and I was like, "Is that because the Borad's in charge?" No, actually, it's just because the Borad has outlawed all mirrors.
So yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, what I thought was going to be like more complicated about why the Borad has outlawed mirrors, and I was like, maybe it's just a Shiraz Jek thing where he's not okay with how he looks. And
well, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's
surprisingly,
it's kind of disappointing. So, but not that disappointing.
Yeah, they.
So yeah, Renus, who's Vina's father, has been pulled into like this political ploy and thrown under the bus and killed. And actually, he was the one who was like orchestrating it, and what's his name? Forgot it again.
The Borad.
The Borad.
It's like Borat, but with a D. Borat should have been in the serial.
I mean, yeah, it would have been more interesting.
Yeah,
and
Borat.
like a lot more racist. But
okay, when has the show ever shied away from blatant racism, okay?
I mean, never.
Exactly, so Borat would fit right in.
Thanks, Sacha Baron Cohen. I actually do think that movie is funny.
No, yeah, it is.
I mean, I don't think Bruno is funny.
I haven't actually seen Bruno.
I think my thoughts on these movies are actually kind of the same as most people's, which is that Borat's like pretty funny and that Bruno just isn't. And I haven't seen The Dictator. Well, that looks pretty funny too.
I've heard The Dictator was pretty funny.
Incredibly racist, but it's still funny.
Yeah, well, the best humor is apparently
racist humor. Yeah, I watched Suicide Squad like recently, surprisingly, and like that was a lot more vaguely racist than I thought it would be. Like actually.
Now that you point it out, yeah, actually. Didn't really think that when I saw it, but now that you point it out. Anyway, back to the serial at hand. So, yes. She gets time lashed. She hits the TARDIS, and Perry's like, "Whoa, was that a ghost?" And the Doctor's like, "No, that was a person. We just knocked him with the TARDIS." And I was like, "Oh, you seem remarkably nonchalant about that."
I've been reading a lot of like early American lit recently because, well, I have to because I'm in the class for it. And knocked is the term they use when a Native American hits them in the head, the white people, with a hatchet. They knock them with a hatchet and kills them. So
okay.
Wow. I mean, doesn't mean that anymore, but yeah.
We should bring back that meaning, though. But then I guess, knocked on the door wouldn't really make sense anymore, I guess.
Yeah, you just Jack Nicholson your way through the door every time you open a door.
Yeah, we should make that a thing,
it's
too.
It's an axe, so...
Jack Nicholson your way through doors. So they arrive on the planet and they're like, whoa, it's the TARDIS, the Doctor's back. And it's like, what?
It's another one of these things.
Yeah, McCoy's pulling the Face of Evil thing where he's showing us a sequel to a story that we haven't seen.
Yeah, / Megloss thing. And for a while I was trying to figure out, like, have we seen this or have we not? And then I realized that we didn't. And there's a lot of stuff later that, I mean, I'm kind of used to this plot idea at this point, but there's a lot of stuff later that I was like, that would have been really cool if we had seen the first encounter. But hey, what are you gonna do, right?
What surprises me also is that they haven't seized upon that earlier idea and ever actually novelized / made an audio drama of it. They've just never, like, written that earlier encounter, which is the first thing I would expect them to do.
They haven't written the Face of Evil first encounter?
I don't actually know about the Face of Evil first encounter.
I feel like they have, although I'm not sure.
Yeah, no,
I doubt they do. I doubt they've done it for Megloss.
Well, they didn't for this serial, which is surprising because I feel like
this one could have been interesting, especially since the society, like, worships the Doctor and has a painted mural of the third Doctor behind a wall, of course. But in front of a mirror, so that's kind of weird. Like, the Boarhead came into power and is like, hey, let's cover this mirror with a mural of the third Doctor. Hey, let's cover this mural with a blank wall. I mean, I also kind of understand not wanting a mural of this guy in, like, this chamber that's apparently used for political dealings and also houses the Timelash. That's a really convenient place for the Timelash. It's like, once they're condemned, it's just right there. They don't have to go anywhere. It's just right there.
Well, they seem to do all of their politicking in this one room, which is kind of weird to me. Even Congress has 2 rooms.
Well, it's pretty convenient. I mean, both for the people making the set and for the in-universe characters, so... Hey.
Like, get an announcement. Oh, yeah, there's going to be some politics done today. Better head down to the forum and watch some people get time-lashed.
It's the Panopticon. The Doctor actually does invoke his power as the leader of the High Council.
I actually liked that. That was my favorite line of the serial. It's like, hey, I remember that, and I like that throwback. Unlike the other throwbacks to the story we haven't seen in this serial. And also, unlike all the other blatant plot threads nicked from other serials to assemble this one. Not that that's a bad thing or anything.
I mean, yeah, there pretty much wasn't anything original. Even the, look, we've been traveling with a famous person the entire time. Well, I forgot what that was originally from. But I know they've done it before.
Yeah. Although they did do a good job of...
It was, yeah. I didn't realize who it was.
Doing that surprise.
Even though I actually did think of the time machine while watching this, but I didn't. Yeah, not the TARDIS. but I didn't put 2 and 2 together until his business card at the end, which just has his name on it. Probably because he doesn't have any credentials.
Yeah, well, he does say he doesn't have any books published yet. When we meet him, which is right now, when he shows up on Earth, and she's like, "Hey," and he's like, "My name's Herbert. What's yours?"
He's doing some psychedelic drugs. No, he's just doing some weird paranormal crap. And then Vina shows up,
summoning demons in his backyard.
Yeah. And I don't know. I liked him right away.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be a companion, and, like, I thought he was going to be.
I would have really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Not only is he a likable character, he's a really good actor too. Compared to Perry, first of all.
Comparatively, yeah.
I mean, next to Colin Baker, he's, like, not the best actor in the show right now, but...
And the thing is, he's kind of, like... He's pretty dumb, but, like, he's so enthusiastic that you're just, like, you can't help but like him as a character, so...
Yeah, he's really excited this woman just appeared out of nowhere, but she, like, faints, so he puts her in his bed and, like, gives her some tea, I guess. And she's like, "Where am I?" And he's like, "You're in Scotland." And she's like, "Where's Scotland?" And he's like, "Earth." She's like, "I have no idea what Earth is, but all right, you seem nice."
He thinks she's a ghost from the other side.
Oh, we forgot to mention the reason why she jumped into the Timelash is because she grabbed this medallion off of Tekker's neck, because Tekker became the new Malin, and the medallion has all of Borad's power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's like made off with the medallion. She's like, ha 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 ha. So yeah, she's on Earth, and then the Doctor shows up on whatever the planet was. I don't know if it ever actually got a name.
It did, because it had its own name, and the Bandrel planet had its own name, but I don't remember either of them.
Yeah, well, Bandrel is a cool enough word for the Bandrel planet.
To be memorable.
Yeah, exactly, the Bandrels.
Yeah, I guess. And I don't know, I kind of liked the one Bandrel we saw, the ambassador. I mean, he was kind of a... Well, I guess he wasn't too jerkish, but... I don't know, he was cool. He had a cool voice.
Yeah. He was kind of snarky. Anyway,
Like,
yeah, he's
I guess you've declared war then.
Yeah, he launches an invasion fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently if a trade deal falls through in this universe, you just immediately declare war on the other person, so... Can you imagine if that had happened?
Yeah, just launch a war. It's like, oh, trade deal fell through. Guess we're just launching this warhead.
Yeah, that's not even original either, because that's taken from that serial this season, the one that I liked and you hated. The one with Syl.
Yeah.
Where Syl was like, I'm going to invade your planet.
And also taken from Frontios. Or was it? And I guess Frontios wasn't exactly the same.
Yeah.
Frontios was that they're just getting bombarded.
For no reason. So, yeah, the Doctor arrives and they're like, whoa, it's the Doctor. And he's like, yep, I have changed. And,
for the better.
Yeah,
I was like,
and I'm
that's
wow.
questionable.
Yeah, so Tekka takes him into this room, and then we get more of Perry's random botany skills.
Yeah, which I guess comes into play, so I guess it's kind of nice. But she examines this purple flower that apparently spews you with this fluid that you don't want it to get spewed on you by thing.
Yeah, I think Tekka was making that up somehow.
No, but the Borad actually has it come into play later because that's how he got like spliced, was that he got sprayed by the plant.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if Tekka, evil jerk that he is, would just make something like that up.
Tekka was one of the most smug villains we've had on this show.
Yeah, I actually really liked Tekker. They call him Tekka.
Agree.
I'm tempted to call him Tekka because that's how they said his name, but I don't know, it's Tekker, so.
It's Tekka, but with the British accent, it's Tekka.
I'm just going to call him Tekka because it makes him sound like Aztec.
Makes him sound like Mecha, like Mecha Warrior. It could be Tekka Warrior. So they have this scheme where Perry's going to get like a tour of the room, and the Doctor should like immediately recognize that this is a trap, but for some reason he doesn't, and just allows Perry to get taken on this tour, and the Borad's like, yeah, we're just going to kill Perry.
Maybe he is actually secretly trying to off Perry.
Oh, God.
And, I mean, maybe even Herbert, too, because, like, near the end of the series, like, go into the caves, Herbert! Go into where the Morlock is.
Murlocs.
I'm going to call them, I don't care, I'm going to call them Murlocs. Even though they looked more like dragons than anything. /
worms. They look like worms to me.
Yeah, they kind of did. They look like those crappy dinosaurs from Invasion of the Dinosaurs, actually.
Remember that Disney movie Dinosaur from the 90s?
Yep.
I always forget that was a Disney movie.
Yeah. Questionable 3D there. Actually, I mean, for its period, it actually looked kind of good.
Yeah.
That was the one with the lemurs, right?
I think
I'm pretty
so.
sure
It's been so long since I saw that movie, and I just
Yeah.
remembered it for some reason.
The movie has a real cool intro sequence. I'll see if I can put it in the show notes.
So, yeah, so they're kind of... Perry gets this note to go meet in this cave, and then this android shows up and starts ruffling her around a bit, and she stuns him, and she drops the note and runs into the
rustling her
caves.
jimmies.
And...
I actually don't know what that phrase means. I think it just means pissing her off, but I'm not sure.
I think
Anyway.
I think not like pissed off. I think it means more like
Annoyed.
annoyed or irritated.
Vexed.
Vexed. Isn't vexed more like confused?
No, vexed is like
Like
irked.
a confused
It's like
irritation. I feel like those all have subtle nuances that make them different.
They do, but I mean, for the most part, they're like interchangeable. So hey,
what do we care?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the rebels are hanging out in the caves.
Yeah.
The rebel subplot actually doesn't get fleshed out that much now that I think about it.
Or resolved in any way. Wow, there's a lot of random unfinished subplots in the serial. I still enjoyed it though.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of forgot about the rebels actually for a while.
So the doctor gets roped. Tech is like, I'm going to kill Perry if you don't get the medallion. And the doctor's like, fine. All right, I'll go get the medallion. So
he's like, all right, that's what I've been trying to do this whole time. No.
He takes the TARDIS through the time corridor and he lands in Scotland. He's like, what's up, Herb? My name is the Doctor.
And Herbert's like super impressed and wants to travel with the Doctor. And the Doctor's like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, so he pulls a, shoot, which companion was it that snuck onto the TARDIS? Adric, yeah, he pulls an Adric and sneaks into the TARDIS.
And I feel like there have been more.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been more. Steven snuck onto the TARDIS.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Is that it? Is there actually no more?
Yeah, that might be it.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So episode 1 ends with them, and then Perry is like getting killed. And I wanna ask if you noticed this, because I noticed it and then I like rewound to watch it again to confirm my suspicions. But so the rebels are chilling in the room where the note told Perry to go, and then they get attacked by the beekeepers. But like, if you watch this scene, before the beekeepers even actually attack, you see the 3 rebels sitting on the ground, and it's just one of the beekeepers just standing on the right, just like on the screen, just standing there. And then they attack, and he just shoots someone. He's like standing on the screen right there in full view.
He's that one guy who just lets them get away with it, but then he's like, oh shoot, my superiors are coming, I have to pretend to actually care.
And I saw it, and I was like, wait a minute.
No, I actually didn't notice that. I guess he just thought he was off camera. He wasn't.
Oh god! It was just, I was like, what?
Maybe he wasn't even an actor. Maybe he was just like a crew member, or like, well, we don't want to hire anyone else, so get in this beekeeper outfit and pretend you know how to act.
Doesn't even have to act. He just shoots a rebel and that's it.
I thought the beekeepers were like androids of some kind, because they don't talk until like 5 minutes before the end of the serial. Or like when the one guy comes and gets Perry out of that neck cuff.
Yeah, this serial's not as dark as the other ones this season, but it definitely, like, for Perry, it's pretty dark.
Yeah, actually. They're gonna like genetically splice her with the Morlock? I mean,
she's got like a neck collar on. She gets pulled by that neck collar later, too.
Yeah.
Jeez. Perry had a rough time this serial.
Yeah, has a rough time since her introduction, and actually is pretty applaudable for sticking on this entire time. I think she's crossed the line of like, I want to go back,
smart and between like intelligence and tomfoolery. Because I think at this point it's gotten to the point where staying on is more detrimental than beneficial.
Yeah. I'm surprised we never used the term tomfoolery during Tom's run.
You're right.
But I thought you were going to say Perry's crossed the line of, I really want to go back to Earth, but the Doctor's not taking me, so...
Wish she had that opportunity at the start of the serial.
Well, I mean, not really, because they were going to go to Earth, but then they got time-lashed.
The time corridor is like just a lazy way to get the Doctor to where he needs to go, to be honest.
Yeah, but...
the Doctor tries to take Perry to the Eye of Orion, too, again. Well, not again for Perry, but again for the Doctor.
Didn't he try and take her there at some point? I think he did.
Yeah, he mentioned like in the Twin Dilemma, I think he mentioned the Eye of Orion to her.
I don't know. Well, he has tried to take her there, but I mean, maybe not that we've seen, because she's like, stop trying to take me there, Doctor. So you can just imagine how many times he's offered to do it off screen.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Perry escapes into the caves.
Yeah, and then gets captured.
It was funny because she was in this futuristic looking corridor, and then she just goes through that door with the triangle on it and enters this crypt that's just there on the other side of the door. So it's like, all right, you're just keeping these tombs right here. Yeah, she gets captured, and they're like, who are you? And she's like, I'm traveling with the doctor, you know, the guy who you worship. And they're like, I don't believe you. And then the one lady has a pendant with a picture of Joe on it.
Yeah, this is where the scene with the beekeeper just standing on screen happens. He's just chilling there, and he's like... And I'm like... Anyway, that's how episode 1 ends, and episode 2 begins with all of them getting captured, and the Borad's like, hey, wait a minute, I can use Perry. She's pretty attractive. Which is, like, apparently her defining plot feature now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they always dress her in, like, super revealing outfits.
Yeah, so they attach a neck collar to her and, like,
So the way that Perry convinces the rebels that she's not a threat is that she tells them that she knows who Joe is and that she traveled with the doctor. And I was like, I mean... Maybe, not really. She didn't really travel with him.
She kind of just gets strung along.
Yeah. Joe, that is.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had a couple adventures after
Like
the doctor got his TARDIS fixed. Well, more if you include this one, which is like...
Yeah.
Anyway. They, Yeah, well, the doctor comes back, and then Tech is like, haha, I lied. And then he's going to kill the doctor.
Yeah.
And then the doctor... pulls out a mirror and he's like, haha, see, even the androids are programmed not to like their own reflection, which is a bizarre thing to put into your android programming.
Yeah, I mean, why put your own flaw into...
to the android.
Yeah. I mean, unless he's just... I guess it kind of makes sense because maybe the Borad doesn't want his underlings to have a power that he doesn't have.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Well, like... Yeah, well, they beat him back. Then the doctor goes into the Timelash because he's like, hey, I can get one of the crystals from the Timelash and
Which is
use it to do some
gonna,
stuff.
Yeah. And they're like, all right, just be careful.
Yeah,
so
then
that he
there's
ropes his way into the Timelash.
10 minutes of him getting crystals.
It was actually kind of drawn out. I was like, this could have been a bit faster. And my problem with the Timelash set was that it looked really cool front on. But when you got the sort of angled view of it, it didn't look as cool to me.
Well, it kind of fell apart when you got the really wide angle shot and you like noticed the very bottom where there weren't as many crystals, and they clearly thought that part wasn't going to be on camera, but
like
they
that beekeeper dude.
they accidentally filmed it, and I was like,
But overall, it looked kind of cool.
Yeah,
it did look very crystalline, which is
what they were going for. So. Yeah, the doctor gets some crystals, and then he makes this thing that, like, it jumps him 10 seconds into the future, but then, like, projects 10 seconds into the future into present time.
It was kind of like what happened in Twin Dilemma, but more confusing.
Yeah, so it's like he can act 10 seconds into the future, but then
it turns his present self into like an apparition of himself. Like his actual physical body is 10 seconds in the future, but he can still act in that 10-second interval.
Yeah, he still acts in the present.
It's like it gives him like 10 seconds where he's like intangible, essentially.
Yeah.
Is what it does. I'm pretty sure.
Something like that. But yeah, the first thing he does, a typical Sixth Doctor move, is to shove the one guy and Herbert in the chest. He just shoves them. Yeah, this is when he really dials up the, like, dickishness of his character. Because he starts, like, yelling at Herbert to stop meddling in his business. He, like, berates Perry later for coming to try save the planet.
Yeah.
And then he berates Herbert for doing the same thing.
I mean, okay, his beration, if that's even a word, of Perry and Herbert is something that I think any doctor would do, but not to this extent. Because he's trying to save them by, like, having them get off the TARDIS. Yeah. So, like, all right, that's kind of something that... You know, Doctors 1 through 5, I think, would do, but like not like this. You know,
well, like also Doctors 1 through 5, they would say like, "Look, you don't need to die here. Let me die, and I'll save the planet." But the Sixth Doctor was like, "You're being a nuisance. You're distracting me from saving this planet. Get off the TARDIS."
But yeah, that's a bit later. So, Meanwhile, Tekka has devised this scheme to get the second in command guy off of his back, where he's like, "Hey, let's go to the Borad. I'll put in a good word for you." And he's like, "Really sweet," even though I just tried to betray you. All right, cool. So they go to the Borad, and Tekka's like, "He's a traitor. Kill him."
So he does. And then the doctor shows up with his crystal thing, and he's like, "What's up, Borad?"
And this is the first time we actually see the Borad and actually find out that the Borad. Well, not you. You already know this, but
yeah,
that the Borad on screen was just a robot. But yeah, this is the first time we see the physical Borad, who looks kind of like a cross between a horse and something green and a person.
This is also when Tekka's character falls apart because he has a random change of heart because the Borad's like, "I'm going to kill everyone on this planet," and Tekka's like, I'm not going to let you do that, and the Borad just kills him.
Yeah, I didn't get that scene other than in terms of we need to get Tekka dead quick. So I don't know, just what did Tekka think?
Herbert was watching too for no random reason too. The doctor's like, "Herbert, you need to watch this."
You need to watch this. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get why Tekka. I mean, even if he did have a change of heart, it's like, all right, it doesn't make sense, but whatever. I didn't get why he just pulls a gun on the Borad at point blank when the Borad just can easily kill him and he knows he can. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, now the doctor activates his time crystal thing and tries to find the control to release Perry because the Borad reveals that he's going to turn Perry into someone exactly like the Borad, and the doctor's like, "I'm not going to let that happen." So
what happened to the Borad to Shiraz was that he was a scientist and he accidentally got some of that plant spew on him, which attracted the Morlocks, which... How did he get genetically spliced with the Morlock again? It's like the Morlock attacked him, and...
it was like the Morlock attacked him, and the juice combined with the adrenaline or whatever caused there to be genetic splicing between the two.
Really? That's what it was?
Yeah, it was really BS nonsense. Most pseudoscience of pseudoscience. And he's like, "But see, I'm way better than either the humanoids or the Morlocks because I have the intelligence of the humanoids and the looks of the Morlocks."
Well, that's why he doesn't like his appearance, because he's so ugly. And the thing is, I mean, this is just a copy of Shiraz, but I feel like he would have actually been a stronger character if he was more of a direct copy of Shiraz.
Yeah.
Shiraz's motivation was revenge against the guy who did it to him. So he's like, "Hey, the humans did this to me, and the Morlocks were just following their own instincts, so I'm going to wipe out all the humans and the Bandrels."
Yeah, and he wants to repopulate the planet with people like him.
Yeah, so that's why. Which is
why he's trying to turn Perry into.
Yeah, because the doctor's like, "Well, what's it gonna be? Just you sitting in this wasteland until you die?" And he's like, "No, actually, I'm gonna turn Perry into something exactly like me and mate with her." So that's this is where it gets kind of pretty dark for Perry. It's all right.
Well, it gets even better because the doctor just straight up murders the Borad. So, the Borad shoots his time beam at the doctor. The doctor's like, "This crystal will." No.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So
this was a funny scene, actually. Yeah. The doctor uses so what the crystal does is reflects the beam that turns you into a marionette. And
I got no strings.
The doctor's like, "Hey, this beam's gonna reflect right back at you," and the Borad's like, "You're bluffing," and he does it anyway.
And the Borad calls the doctor's bluff, and it totally fails for him because he dies.
As the Borad's dying, he's like, "You tricked me," and I was like, "No, actually, he told you that this would happen." And okay, so the doctor actually knew the Borad as a scientist before, and he makes all this mention of this backstory stuff, and I was like, this would have been pretty cool if we saw all this.
Yeah, because apparently the third doctor reported whoever the Borad was before he became Borad. I guess his name was Borad, I don't know. For ethical violations for experimenting on Morlocks.
Yeah. Or I thought what also would have been better is if they had brought up like the scientist earlier on in the serial, maybe would have,
Yeah.
rather than just like 2 seconds before it's important.
Well, it's okay, because now that the plot is over, they're going to have to drag it out for another 25 minutes.
Yeah, they kind of do that monster Peloton thing. Or which was the second Peloton serial? The monster or curse? I think it was curse.
I think it was Curse.
Yeah, it would make sense to be curse, because...
I think it's Curse.
Yeah, because the monster was that lovable little elf-looking thing whose name I forgot. Who gets killed.
Oh, no. You had to remind me.
Yeah, so kind of like that drawn-out sequence where What's-Her-Face gets kidnapped at the end of that and brought across the mountain pass.
Yeah, so the Doctor releases Perry, Herbert goes and gets Perry, then they meet back up and they like contact the Banjos, and the Doctor's like, I'm the president of Gallifrey, if you attack us, then like you're gonna be in trouble. And
he's like, you're gonna incite more than just war between two planets.
And the Banjos like, yeah, don't want to do that, but can you prove you're the Doctor? And the Doctor's like, and the Banjos like, all right, we'll accept just the body of the Borad, you know? And the Doctor's like, yeah, that'll be difficult. And I'm like, why?
Because he's not actually dead.
Well, it was a clone, but like he could have just gone into the room, got the body of the Borad, and brought it back.
That was a clone Borad?
Yeah, that's what the Borad said at the end. He's like, oh yeah, I cloned myself. So the Doctor actually kills the Borad twice.
What? I missed that. I thought he was just like came back and they don't explain how.
No, they did, and it was a clone.
That's such a cop-out.
I thought they were just gonna not explain it, but no, it's a clone.
That's such an easy cop-out, like, oh, you thought you killed me, but it was actually just a clone.
But I didn't understand why the Doctor couldn't just go get the marionette body of the Borad from the room and bring it to show the Bandril.
I mean, it was pretty far, and he's pretty out of shape, so... I'm just kidding.
What? Sorry for interrupting, but what I liked about Herbert, I just remembered this and I wanted to mention it, was that every time the Doc's like, we have no time, I'm always like, but you have a time machine. Herbert actually does that. He's like, we have a time machine, Doctor. And the Doc's like,
makes sense when you figure out who he is.
And the Doctor's like, laws of time.
So maybe the reason why the Doctor doesn't just go get the Borad and that he tries to sacrifice himself is because he's actually trying to kill Herbert and Perry, and he wants them to be on the TARDIS with him, and he tries to reverse psychology them into staying, but it doesn't work, and Perry leaves, but Herbert stays.
No, yeah, Herbert sneaks on again, and Perry comes on, and the Doctor, like, lies to Perry and he's like, this is a man's job, and like says some stuff, and then Herbert comes out and is like, right, this is a man's job, and the Doc's like, I was lying, and I thought it was such a poor lie that it would convince even you to leave. And Herbert's like, yeah, no, and the Doctor's like, damn it, Herbert.
So they have like a minute until impact with the missile that the Bandrils have launched.
The slowest missile in existence. Are they just planning to like bombard the planet from space?
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, I mean, the humans and the Borad are obviously not the most upstanding people around, but like the Bandril reaction to this is kind of an overreaction. It's just like, guess we'll just launch this missile into your planet.
Maybe the Bandrils are like a really warlike race and they just like conquering planets. And they just need any small excuse. It would explain why the dissolution of the trade agreement incited a war when that doesn't really make sense.
I mean, the Borad was going to wipe out all the Bandrils, but I don't think they knew that.
The Bandrils, you mean?
What? No, that's what
you said Mandrils. With an M.
Oh, well, I thought I said Bandrils. I mean, they did sort of make me think about Mandrils.
Yeah, well, now the Doctor, like, gets blown up by the missile, but then he just shows up with the TARDIS Sato, and Perry's like, how'd you do that? And the Doctor's like, I'll explain later. And I'm like, really?
They're never gonna explain later.
Really? And then the Borad shows up again.
Okay, so I actually like this, because they never do this on this show. That you think the villain's dead, but haha, he's not. He actually shows up in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it was a clone. Anyway.
And the thing is, like, my first thought about this entire 15-minute sequence at the end was like, wow, this kind of sucks. But then I was like, wait, they actually established this earlier, and now they're going back to it, so I'm more okay with it. But it was a bit drawn out. especially the scene where Herbert has second thought. He's like, yeah, let's sacrifice ourselves. And then the doctor's like, 5 seconds left. And he's like, wait a minute. That was pretty funny. So yeah, no, then the Borad shows back up.
Yeah, and the doctor's like, yeah, if Perry doesn't scream when she sees your face, she can marry you. And I'm like, wow, maybe really is trying to get rid of Perry. And Perry's like, wait, what?
Perry's like, don't I have any say in this? The doctor's like, no, shut up.
Pretty much, yeah. He says exactly that.
Seriously? Seriously, Doctor / McCoy? Glenn McCoy? Seriously?
They really toned it up to 11 for this serial.
And okay, so I didn't see the Borad's eye very clearly when he was in his dark control room, but it actually looks kind of cool. Like when you see him in the light, it looks sort of like a cat eye / reptile eye, where it's like all green and stuff.
All green and yeah. Well, the doctor somehow like knows that behind the painting of him there's a mirror, so he rips the painting of him off the wall, and the Borad looks in the mirror, and Perry looks in the mirror, and Perry's like, ah!
And the Borad's like, what if she just didn't scream? And the Borad's like, well, you promised, Doctor.
And the doctor's like,
and Perry's like, don't I have any say in this? And they're all just like, shut up, Perry. And that's how she gets written out.
And the doctor just takes Herbert and is like, well, we should just leave before like this gets any worse for us. No, but they shove the Borad in the Timelash and he dies. Oh, actually, the Borad doesn't die that time. They mention that he becomes the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Which is like the second Loch Ness Monster we've had, because we had the one in Terror of the Zygons.
Was there any conflicting info in Terror of the Zygons that says that it wasn't the Borad? I don't remember.
Yeah, actually I don't remember.
Yeah, so there you go. I kind of like the real world connections at the end, and then
they reveal
because Herbert wants to stay with this society, and then it's revealed that he's H.G. Wells.
And that's how it ends, actually. It doesn't end with them actually leaving, so maybe there's a couple serials or other stories where Herbert is a companion.
Yeah, maybe. That would be cool.
I wrote down a line that pretty much encapsulates the Sixth Doctor that the Borad said, which was like, your attempted witticisms are becoming tedious. And I was like, yeah, they are. And that's that.
Yeah, so I've actually read The Time Machine, although not recently. So I was trying to think of plot points in that connect to this. Like, oh, maybe Herbert was inspired by this in this universe, and that's why he wrote The Time Machine. And I mean, I don't think there are many.
I've seen the Time Machine movie.
The movie's like apparently completely different, but I never watched the movie. There's like a couple movies.
Yeah, the older one is apparently pretty accurate to the book, but the new one, which is the one I watched, was apparently not. So, I don't know.
Yeah, other than like the genetic mutations, which it wasn't even mutations here; it was like splicing. Other than that, I can't think of any real connections. But hey, whatever.
I don't know. I thought the serial was decent.
Yeah,
Even
I mean, it was
like ripped plot threads from other serials and kind of cobbled them together.
I mean, hey, that's what most good things do.
Well, I think most good things cobble plot threads from other things, but improve upon them.
This improved upon some of them.
Yeah, but it also didn't resolve some of them, like that rebel subplot.
Well, I guess it did resolve that with the death of the Borad. It's like there's no more need for this rebel group.
They only kind of showed up in episode 1, though.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't resolve it on screen, but like you can think like, all right, I guess that's resolved because there's no more Borad. So maybe what's his face will become the next dictator.
What? Who?
The new Malin. New Malin.
Whatever his name was.
Because I mean, after Borat comes the dictator, so.
That's a bit of a stretch. Yeah, maybe Sacha Baron Cohen watched this and was like, that inspired his entire comedy career. Hey, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's true.
Actually, maybe we do know. Maybe he's talked about that before.
I doubt it. I somehow doubt all of this. So yeah, pretty
good.
Decent serial. And honestly, this is kind of a weird concept to wrap my head around, but one of the only middle-of-the-road serials in a while. I've actually really disliked most of the recent ones.
Yeah, because a lot of the serials leading up to this point, I think Two Doctors was actually the first serial that we both agreed was like either
Pretty
good or bad.
good.
Because like all the ones before that, either you said were good and I thought were bad, or I thought was bad and you thought was good.
Yeah.
And this, I agree. It's like middle of the road. This like compared to the really divisive serials we've had earlier this season, it's kind of divisive depending on your pronunciation. We've had this season, yeah, it's just kind of there. So I guess that wraps that up. Next week, at least we finish off the season. And then the week after that, we finally get a new theme song. So I'm looking forward to that finally.
I only have 2 weeks left to convince you to watch all of Trial of a Time Lord in 1 week.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
No, it's not happening.
Anyway, email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on this serial. Be sure to check out Triple Play because we released a new episode this week that we're recording this, and I think like the week after this goes out, there'll be a new episode of Triple Play, and those are on the Never-Ending Story, and they're pretty good episodes, so you should you should go check them out. You can find us, this show, on iTunes, YouTube, and Google Play, all at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show. Tell your friends.
Also, check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor, like us on Facebook, and also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next week, we watch Revelation of the Daleks. But until then, the end.